Oh snap, just when you thought you were going to keep your head above water, Chris Evans takes a dump on your face. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the Fanatics of Film, and here is my quick review and kind of a dust over all the the last few episodes of Breaking Bad to catch us up for El Camino coming up this Friday. So here we are, just days away from the long-awaited sequel to this masterpiece. The celebrated husband and father, family icon, had once been looked up to, treated as a local hero, battling lung cancer, although never allowing smoke to enter his own body, had now become an embarrassing, prideful lunatic who became obsessed with his own accomplishments. Even if those accomplishments had casualties, he was willing to accept them. He was willing to accept the essence of the destruction of his own future, although that catastrophic destruction was his own creation. As we dive deep into Breaking Bad Season 5, Episode 9, Blood Money, Walt is completely oblivious to the fact that he has become ridiculously overconfident in his own self-righteous skin. Just a few days ago, Hank had discovered his Leaves of Grass book in the restroom, and Walt is finally realizing that it is missing, or that he has misplaced it. As Skyler tells him that Hank hasn't been to work all week, our supervillain, Walter White, who has become too good for his own hubris, has finally had his own farts shoved in his face. The look on his face is priceless as he is starting to realize that he has made a huge mistake. He then discovers the tracker on his vehicle with an overloaded disdain and confusion. Overwhelmed with panic in his eyes, Walt is finally forced to face the music. The music is the possibility of facing his own brother-in-law as an enemy. Jesse gives a stack of money to a homeless person. This scene is a slightly reminiscent of Back to the Future. Right after this, Jesse is inspired to unlock his own path to redemption, while we are blasted with the dark, spiritual, crooked music that is infused with a dangerous attitude waiting to slit our throats. Aaron Paul's performance is incredible in this episode. You feel every single emotion exploding from his tortured heart. As Hank scrambles to hide all the evidence that will inevitably become possible destruction of Walt's future that has been squandered, his entire being is covered in fear. Hank's nervous demeanor is completely overwhelming in this scene as Walt invokes his intimidating behavior. Almost drunk on the possibility of what Hank has discovered, Walt can't help but slam his own hand on the box of evidence. As Walt is about to walk away without any fire started, he decides to show the tracker to Hank. The fight explodes, and somehow, after all the back and forth, Walt says, "Tread lightly." The discovery of stacked money, an old man going to work realizes that he can't capture it all, and discovers Jesse sprawled on a merry-go-round ride, and all of the sounds in this scene are music. Just brilliantly done. And it's just sounds only. Seriously, listen to this scene closely. It's amazing. Jesse's surrendered behavior is relentless, undying, emotional, and treacherous. Jesse seems like a ticking time bomb, but he is merely reacting to his own destruction. Haunting and relentless, the squeaking of the merry-go-round eats at our unhappiness. The look in his eyes is one of surrender, of an awakened spirit who has been tortured. However, he is still trapped, even though he feels like he has somehow unburdened himself from the catastrophe that has been his life. Once again, the use of sounds has become music. The tension is created here by the crickets, a kid playing with an RC car, and a garage door. Although all of this has been completely No music at all. No music at all used in the scene. The poetic symmetry is timeless. In the pilot episode, we are slapped in the face with a high desert desperation that is unmatched until now. In Season 5, Episode 10, Buried, Walt is currying his own drums of money out into the desert. His only companions are locusts and other insects. The loneliness is undeniable and heart-wrenching. Skylar has been left alone by everyone and is now scrambling for a possible way out. She is terrified of giving any information to anyone. Marie attempts to kidnap Skylar's child. This was absolutely horrifying. The kleptomaniac strikes again. Marie's and Hank's determination to allow Walt is unnerving and detached and scary because they were always so loyal. Here we are in Season 5, Episode 12, The Rabid Dog. Just before Jesse was going to let this whole thing go, allowing himself to be removed from any current reality that he was presently part of, he discovered the pack of cigarettes and realized that Saul had Huel steal it. After unleashing a complete lawyer office rampage, Jesse steals Saul's car and drives into Walt's house, breaks in and decides to bathe in the house in gasoline. As Walt moves in after him, the musical intensity is drenched with suspense. Jesse had started this whole thing and has just left. It is almost pathetic now. Walt is still constantly brainwashed with the thought process of continuously lying. He concocts a whole new story about the gasoline. He is so ridiculous for thinking they would believe him. In this episode, Marie has a moment of basking in her own murder fantasy of Walt. This is strange and slightly out of character, except that this odd moment of lustful revenge that she attaches herself to does remind me of her kleptomania and, of course, her horrible attempt to kidnap Skylar's baby. So that is, I don't know, that's just weird. It was just a bizarre moment where she kind of thinks of a way to kill Walt and she voices it out loud to her therapist. There is a minor flaw in this episode, although Jesse has just barely gotten the Hello Kitty phone from Saul Goodman. Walt is still able to call him on it. There is no time or place for Walt to acquire the phone number to this new burner phone. In this arc, everyone seems to be breaking bad. Every member of the cast seems to be evolving or finding themselves outside of their own ideology, burying their own moral compass, or distorting it in some way or shape or form. Like a disease, this lack of moral instinct and disregard for human decency spreads to almost all the characters who feel threatened or trapped with no way out or no way to expose Walt because they are fearful of what he is capable of and what he may do. Aaron Paul's performance never ceases to amaze me. His tragic adaptation and reaction to his own memories and choices is captivating. This person is made real on screen. Jesse Pinkman becomes a real character before our eyes. After Jesse finishes his video confession, Hank has arrived at the conclusion that Walt really cares for Jesse. Recollecting all of the times that Walt had went the extra mile to preserve Jesse, to save him, ran over the two drug dealers with his car, paid for Jesse's rehab, made him a 50-50 partner, and he emphasizes that he didn't have to do that. Jesse says, "You guys are just two guys. Mr. White, he is the devil." The terror in Jesse's face is unmatched. The whole scene is reminiscent of his march into the drug dealer trap long ago, when Walt had saved him before. The entire situation at the plaza is misguided and misinterpreted, completely wrong in every single way. It is odd to Jesse and Hank It is odd to see Jesse and Hank working together, deciding that there is another way to take out Walt, deciding to go after his money.